What is going on, my friends? SeanPierceJohnson here with this week's edition of Stompbox Saturday. Actually on a Saturday. And on the Stompin' block today, we are taking a look at the brand new Condor from Chase Bliss Audio. Man, it is always a good day when a Chase Bliss pedal shows up at my door because it just feels like this company gets me. It's the marriage of the analog heart, the digital brain, bringing the best of both worlds together to make some of the coolest and most usable and flexible and craziest effects pedals on the market today. And the Condor is no exception. Condor is way more than just an EQ. It's a preamp, it's a filter, it's a harmonic tremolo, like we just heard at the top of the video. The things that this pedal can do are so crazy and so good, and the uses are extraordinary. And we are going to look at some of my favorite uses for the Condor today. But first, we need to see what we're working with, so let's throw the pedal up on the screen and do just that. As you can see, Condor looks exactly like the other Chase Bliss audio pedals that we've taken a look at. 6 knobs, 3 toggle switches underneath the knobs, 2 foot switches for bypass, and then some other function, and then a preset toggle. So what exactly do those knobs and switches and things do? Well, let's start by just looking at it as an EQ pedal. First off, we have a bass frequency, which is a shelving curve, which essentially will allow you to boost or cut dependent, it's basically a shelf. So here's your low frequencies. It's right here. You boost it, it's going to boost the low frequencies. If you cut it, it's going to cut the low frequencies, and everything above it is going to stay intact. And there's 3 different levels from low to moderate to heavy low-end shaping. Then we have the mids, which is the most powerful frequency for guitar. Now what's really cool here is we have a fully parametric mid-range control. We have the mids, which will be our boost and cut, and then the freak, which to my ears sweeps between that 500 to 4K range, basically the low mids to the high mids. And you have various different bell shaping, meaning that if you boost, it's going to go from here to here, or if you cut, it's going to go from here to here, and everything between it is going to stay the way that it is. And you have 3 different levels of, low to moderate to very peaky kind of Q. It's very flexible. And then we have the low pass filter right over here with 3 different voicings to that low pass filter, which have different sort of high-end sound tailoring. But essentially what that's going to do is, here is your low pass filter, allowing your lows to pass through. You get it. And then as you turn that down, you start rolling off the highs and into the mids to the point where you reach the lows. What's really funny is turning it all the way down and you basically have nothing. I think it's kind of fun. Then the other 2 knobs, we have the gain knob and the volume knob, which are going to come really handy for your gain staging. But the gain knob has more to it than just being in sort of an input gain thing. You can actually use Condor as an overdrive pedal. Enough of my yakking. We've done it. We talked about it. It's time to hear this thing. Now, here are some of my favorite settings and my favorite ways to use Condor. Doing stuff with ramping is where all the craziness of Chase Bliss pedals start to come into play, but this sound is a little bit more lush and classic than some other things that you might be able to do with Condor. I got hip to this sound thanks to watching Dan and Mick over on That Pedal Show, and they had a Condor on their board, and Daniel had lapsed it into a sort of harmonic tremolo thing that you actually heard at the top of the video, and man, this sound is just, it's just so cool. Let's just play around with that for a little bit. Now the trick with this is using the ramping on the mids frequency. Now what we have right here is I've selected the frequency, but what I'm ramping is the mids. Now this is its final position, but when we start out, before we flick on the dip switches for that mids control, I'm setting it, take it back from 3, and then going back to about 10, 11 on the dial. You'll want to just kind of use your ears to find that sweep that really works for you. And then I add a little bit of grit on top of that from the overdrive, which you'll want to set before you do any sort of dip switch thingamajig. If we want to make it a little faster, now we're going to have some fun with an expression pedal. I have my Mission expression pedal on the floor and plugged into the jack on Condor. And these settings, this is your wah setting. Now we can change the Q of the mid-range. It's a little bit more subtle, but let's do it again. We can even change up the way the low end behaves. We can even adjust the high pass filter. Check that out. Pretty cool. And if you want a little bit of extra hair on top, click on the overdrive. And there you have it, my friends. That's the Condor from Chase Bliss Audio. Now, if I had to put it into a category amongst the other Chase Bliss pedals that we've taken a look at, this would be the most utilitarian. It's kind of like Batman's utility belt. It's got everything you could possibly need. It does EQ, it does preamp, it does wah, it does tone shaping, it does overdrive. It does all these things, and it does them all really, really well. Just with the knobs alone, this pedal is worth the price of admission, but when you put an expression pedal into it and you start messing with the dip switches, the possibilities are limitless and only bound by your imagination. So if you have something that you've come up with the Condor that you think I should check out, please let me know in the comments section below. And if you enjoyed this demo, I would greatly appreciate it if you would click that floating subscribe bubble when you see it. And hey, if you want to have some more fun, feel free to follow Stompbox Saturday on Instagram at Stompbox Saturday, because I would love to see your pedals and your pedal boards. Thank you so much, my friends, for joining me this week. And until next time, I'm SeanPierceJohnson, and I wish you all great tone and happy stomping. Cheers.